Hoover Institution. We're doing another review, and go ahead and read it off. Dr. Stephen Meyer directs the Center for Science and Culture at a Discovery Institute in Seattle. He returns to Uncommon Knowledge with Peter Robinson to discuss his newest book, Return of the God Hypothesis. Three scientific discoveries that reveal the mind behind the universe. In this wide ranging and often mind bending interview, Dr. Meyer explains the God hypothesis, makes his continuing and evolving case for intelligent design, describes how Judeo Christian theology gave rise to science, discusses why the discovery of DNA is actually an enigma, as its existence cannot be explained by natural selection, and more. Okay, so I went 20 minutes into it, but I had to literally stop. It's really a really great interview. While there's a lot of logic that's spoken here, we're gonna back up to minute 15, and we'll go ahead and go over that. I'll back up a little bit more than that.
It's close quote. Explain that.
This is an idea that's been emphasized by the historian and philosopher of science Steve Fuller in Britain and Peter Harrison in Australia, that the doctrine of original sin, which was recovered in the same period when in late medieval Catholic theology and during the Protestant Reformation, the doctrine of creation was being reemphasized. With that came also the doctrine of the fall of human beings, and therefore the idea that that fall affected our cognitive capabilities. We were capable of understanding the rationality and design of nature, but we were also capable of flights of fancy, of deceiving ourselves, of self-deception, and therefore it was necessary to test our theories against nature. And this again gave an impetus to observation. We could think of all kinds of different ways that nature might be. It was important to find out what nature actually was like.
Sorry, guys. She does her thing. That's her job.
Like in its reality. And to do that, methods of testing were developed. And so when we think of testability as a crucial aspect of scientific investigation, this is part of where it came from.
All right, so we've got this notion that that nature is contingent. It could have been different, and the only way to figure out what it is to observe it. That humans being human, they can actually get someplace. They can understand. But humans being human, they better double check those observations. That's why we have peer-reviewed journals,
That's
roughly
right.
speaking.
Yes, exactly. These are systems of accountability that are built in to check our own capacity for either self-deception or simply missing things.
Okay, so what I find so striking here is, I mean, I'm used to the idea, I'm used to books and arguments where science has its realm, religion has its realm, but you make a much stronger argument that science as we understand it arose from a distinctively Judeo-Christian worldview. And that, so the next question is, what happened? We've already quoted Kepler, God created us after his own image. Newton is explicitly and unashamedly, in fact, unselfconsciously a believer. He writes effectively, how did God do this? What was going on here? How do we test this? But he assumes we could argue about exactly what the characteristics of his God are, but there is an omniscient that he assumes, omniscient
He makes
God.
all those same presuppositions that we just discussed, but then he also sees in the scientific realm that he's investigating, in the realm of nature that he's investigating, evidence for design. So in the general scholium to the Principia, the theological epilogue that he writes to his great masterpiece on gravitation, he makes a design argument about the initial condition fine-tuning, the setup job that was required to create stable planetary orbits. And in this memorable passage, he says, this most beautiful system of sun, planets, and comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. Now, this is written in one of the greatest works of physics ever written, and yet there is a theological deep theological reflection, a design argument, which is a form of natural theology, but he also brings to bear a theology of nature. That is to say, he's bringing theological presuppositions to bear in the whole framing of the inquiry.
All right. And then it all falls apart. The return of the God hypothesis. The success of new scientific theories in the 18th century, you begin there, about astronomical, geological, and biological origins contributed to the rejection of theism as an explanatory framework.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. Okay, so uh, uh, if you've been following my channel, you can go down a few videos back and you'll see that I literally read out, the Principia, and word per word as Isaac Newton wrote it. It was not just one memorable passage as he said it. I mean, it just goes on, and I'm not gonna lie, it is it is awesome preaching. I mean, the way he just puts it out that it's the way the comets and the way the way that the heavens works, um, could it not have been a coincidence. It was totally, absolutely a some sort of signature of a great designer or architect, a great creator, an all-knowing, perfect. It's totally perfect. It had to have been done by God, and that was totally proof of God. And he goes on, it's overwhelmingly, you know, all about God. The pretty much the whole entire Principia is about God, and gravitation is just something he's presenting as a way of saying, that there's a God. Basically, it was all some type of Pythagorean mumbo jumbo that hypes up his God, and but it was well written, and it fuses the numbers and the math so well that to this day a lot of people will be like, yeah, most people have never read it. Okay, I would say, like, out of, like, say, all the people that have read, out of 100% of people that have seen it or know its name, I would say like 98% of that people have not read it themselves and have gone off of interpretations that other people have been rumored to have left on review. That's why it's very important that whatever I review, you guys feel free, review it. Go ahead, comment in the section. Let's debate these topics. But as you guys can see right here, it's not just me. This is Dr. Stephen Meyer. Okay, He literally explains what Kepler said. Kepler was also, about it. Science is about God. And then as you see how it ends right there, there's an attack. There's an attack somewhere along the line where the Catholics decide, okay, the Catholic Church decides, okay, that's enough, and they start actually attacking, it, and kind of inserting and implying to the people through the universities which they controlled some type of villain. They villainized, so they could have some type of, so they themselves could come through and then become the heroes in the end. There's a great story, what I mean, of on how they do it. It's a great story. They themselves create their own devils. They themselves beat their own devils. Okay, but the point is, they use the Jesuit scientists. That's what you want to call them. But they're actually priests and canons and all kinds of other stuff that work for the Catholic Church, and this is how they infiltrated science. I can go ahead and make another video on the topic. Believe it or not, it all happened around the year 1666. And includes Isaac Newton and all his buddies, his Freemason buddies. But basically, we see that right here is where where they start villainizing. Right after Isaac Newton and everyone starts talking about how trying to fuse, science with God and all this. Then you see that they change up and they switch it around, and they start implying. A lot of people start implying, because of rumors through the universities, which, like I said, the Catholic Church invented and have control of, okay, and have overwhelming influence over. Yeah, that's where they started, forming a pseudoscience religion that was in direct conflict with the Catholic Church. This is a basic fairy tale story that anyone can write. Okay, you create your own demons, you create your own devils, then you know how to beat them already. Come through and beat them, and now you're the greatest person. It's a simple scam. This is a big time scam. But as you guys can clearly see, the influence and the interactivity or the interoperability in between, okay, the church, science, and the politics within it. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and keep reviewing this. I'll give you guys an update on this review. I suggest you guys go ahead and review this yourself. Let's debate this, you guys. Anyone want to debate this? Have any insight? Anything you want to add? Feel free to comment on the sections, in the comment section. And yeah, talk to you then. Do you guys even science, bro?